The art is back, the chart is back. Chart Master Yume, Story Surgeon Yume here. Alright, so this is the 3 beats chart. So let's get started. I believe that there are 3 beats. This is inspired by Robin Law's types of narrative beats, which I kind of recently found out about, and I decided to divide them into 3 beats. This is the exposition beat, the action beat, and the emotional beat. The exposition beat provides information that will be necessary to the story. This is self-explanatory. You deliver information. We all know what an exposition scene is. Then the action beat, it shows the characters taking action towards their goal. This is specifically external, it's usually external action, and it usually advances the plot. And then there's the emotional beat, and this one shows characters developing relationships with others or themselves. Keywords would be like internal, emotional, personal relationships, like anything that kind of involves character development. That would be an emotional beat. Action beat is the characters moving the plot forward. Emotional beat is moving the characters forward. An exposition beat is giving the information necessary for the action beats and the emotional beats to happen. So then I said, most stories can be simplified down to a rotation of these 3 beats. Beats can also be fused together. For example, a beat can be action and emotional. An example that came to mind is in Naruto versus Sasuke, there's a point where Sasuke is beating up Naruto and he's about to use his second Chidori. That is an emotional beat and an action beat because they're fighting, but then at the same time Naruto's having like this inner monologue where he's confused. It's like, why is Sasuke trying to kill me? And then he gets angry. So yeah, you can mix all 3 beats together. And now battle syndrome. I've been saying this a little bit, but here's my explanation. I define battle syndrome as when a story relies too heavily on fights to progress a story, making fights a crutch. So like sometimes stories, they will, especially in battle manga, it's usually battle manga, they just kind of have fight after fight after fight, and it begins to feel like it's a crutch, and like the author can't write a story. Battle syndrome occurs in battle stories when a majority of beats are action beats and a majority of those action beats are battles. The reason I bring that up, we'll get to that later. This gives the feeling that the writer can't actually write a story with substance and is stuffing it with fights. To keep the audience entertained. Examples of this would be Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, Kingdom, and JJK, and Kimetsu no Yaiba. Kimetsu no Yaiba is not as problematic, but the other ones I mentioned. Kingdom, it kind of makes sense because they're retelling actual history, and in that history, it's mostly just war and politics. So I can understand having to just continually rely on battles, but for the other 3, those are like fictional stories that came from the minds of the author, so I don't really see any excuse there. And then the solution, battle syndrome can be avoided by decreasing dominance of action beats, and increasing the variety in action beats. The reason I show FMA and magi is because those 2 are really good at avoiding relying on battles. Like there are very few arcs where I can even say that those stories actually relied on battles. I don't know if there even is one. Because an FMA decreases the dominance of action beats because like it finds other things to do in the story other than fight. And I have a video on the Lust arc and I explain how it avoids battle syndrome. And then increasing the variety in action beats, both magi and FMA do that. For example, in the Lust arc, Roy was moving around his men as chess pieces and like strategizing, and that was an action beat, but it wasn't actually the characters fighting. And then in magi, they have the characters talking about politics and trying to come up with a solution to what to do, and they're kind of arguing back and forth and trying to negotiate and debate. And that is a different version of an action beat. It's not just characters fighting. That is the 3 beats chart: exposition beat, action beat, emotional beat. And stories usually switch between these 3. If you rely too heavily on action beats and all the action beats are fights, then it begins to feel like you can't actually write a story and you're just using the action beats to keep the audience entertained and the simple-minded audience entertained. And you could avoid battle syndrome by decreasing the dominance of action beats and increasing the variety in action beats. That's all. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and help me revolutionize the manga industry by buying my manga and spreading the word. All important links will be in the description.